We're at the Evanston Public Library, and I'm talking to Lesley Williams, who's the head of Information Services here. Hi, Lesley.
Hello, Sarah.
And today we're talking PolyTalk.
We are talking about PolyTalk.
And so what is PolyTalk anyway?
All right. PolyTalk is a volunteer network of interpreters specifically for libraries, and it's a program that's free to any library in Illinois. And the idea is that often at the circulation desk or at the reference desk, there are people who come in for whom English is not their first language, and to simply ask where are the Spanish books,
Sure.
where are the Hindi books is a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
So what PolyTalk does is it gives you a set of cards you can use to facilitate communication with people who speak 29 languages other than English.
29?
29 languages. But it
I'm not sure I could name even 20.
I know. But it also is a volunteer network of interpreters.
Mm-hmm.
So there are librarians and library staff members who are fluent in another language who register to be a volunteer interpreter for PolyTalk. Now I'm bilingual in French and in English, so I've registered to be a French interpreter. So anyone who works at a library in any library in Illinois can call me up if they have a patron who doesn't speak English and only speaks French, and I can help interpret for them over the phone.
So has that happened?
It has happened a couple times. I have had the chance to do some interpreting for people over the phone, which was a wonderful challenge and a lot of fun, and just great to be able to use those skills helping a library patron in another library.
Sure.
Now, the other way that you can use PolyTalk is with the cards that I'm showing here. Every PolyTalk library gets this set of cards for each of the languages, and the initial card simply says, what would you like to do today? And there's one side that's in English for the librarian, and there's another side that's in the target language. So the person can simply point to what they want to do. Do they want to find something in the library? Do they want to look for a list of library services, borrow materials, get a library card? And then based on their answer, if they said, for example, that they wanted to get a library card, there's a card here that gives you some more information about how they would do that, and the person can follow the steps on the card.
And so you just point.
That way you can just point to the cards.
And numbers are kind of universal.
Right.
Okay.
There's a number for each language, and then there are letters for each separate group of questions.
Okay.
And so all the person has to be able to do is point to the phrase in their target language, and then the librarian can see which number that they're pointing to. So that at least is a good point of departure, but then if they need something more complicated, they can always call up the interpreter network.
Mm-hmm. So now, this set, this would be at the desk where people would come in?
Correct. So it could be kept at the circulation desk or at the reference desk, depending on how your library is set up. And to get a PolyTalk set, the library has to register with PolyTalk, but it is free. So any library that's interested can go to www.polytalk, POLYTALK.info, and find out how they can register for an account. And librarians or library staff members who are interested in volunteering as PolyTalk interpreters can also go to that website to find out about registering.
Now, have you had occasion to use this?
Have we used the cards? Yes, occasionally we have used the cards. People have come in and they haven't really needed a very in-depth transaction, but often it was simply that they wanted to know where the books in their language were, where the Chinese books were, where the Korean. Yes, it did. It did. So it's a great service. The price is definitely right, and it's very simple to use.
So now you mentioned 29 languages.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, it would take quite a library to have materials in 29 languages. So what's a library to do if somebody wants books in Hindi? How can they manage that?
Well, what they can do if someone says that they're looking for books in a certain language and your individual library doesn't have it, all libraries participate in interlibrary loan throughout the state and throughout the country. So the library staff would be able to look up which libraries in the area that they have an interlibrary loan relationship with do have books in that language. And in Evanston, for example, we're part of a smaller consortium of libraries called CCS. There are 25 libraries in that consortium, and quite a few of those libraries have books in different languages. So if we were approached by someone who wanted books in a language that we didn't stock, we'd be able to show them how they could look up books in that language in our catalog and get them brought here to Evanston.
Sounds wonderful. And that works too?
That works too, yes.
So PolyTalk, how old is this? When was this developed?
PolyTalk is only a couple of years old. At the moment, there are 75 interpreters, volunteer interpreters, who are registered for the 29 different languages.
Do you ever meet?
We don't have a coffee clutch or anything. That would be interesting. It would be kind of fun to do
Around the state, too.
around the state, right? Because people are all over the area, so it's not as though we're all right in the Chicago area or all right in the Springfield area.
And I understand it was developed by our sister library system, the Lincoln Trail
That's right.
Library System,
That's
based in
right.
Champaign, Illinois.
That's right.
And I think they started it with some federal Library Services and Technology Act
Yes,
money.
it was started with what we call the LSTA grant money, correct. And of course in the Champaign area, being it's the university area, you have a lot of people that speak a variety of languages. But of course that's true for us in Chicago, and it's definitely true for us here in Evanston. Then the Skokie Library has an astounding variety of languages spoken by people that live in the area.
Well, very interesting. And it's always interesting to talk to you, Lesley.
Thank you, Sarah. Always interesting to be on the program.